Guys, welcome back to another episode. My name is Mabi, and this is going to be my review of Remnant from the Ashes. I put a very good amount of time into this game, and I want to sit here because I'm very love-hate with this game. I don't know whether to recommend it to people or say stay away from the game. So I'm going to go ahead and talk through it and then see where we get out of this. So I'm going to talk about the story, the graphics, the audio, and the big part of it, the gameplay. So first of all, Remnant from the Ashes just came out this past Tuesday, but if you were able to pre-order the game, you got it the previous Thursday. You got to play Thursday 9 p.m, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So you got like 4 days to play before it came out, and I did that. I was able to play through the weekend, so this game is fairly new as a release. Maybe like 2 days as I'm recording this, 2 days, but then 6 days total if you had the game since then. So if I were to describe Remnant from the Ashes to a person who has never heard the game before, one sentence, the best way to describe it so they kind of get an idea, I would say Dark Souls with guns. Now, it sucks saying Dark Souls with anything, but this game has so many similarities to it, it's kind of hard not to compare it to it. So let's start with the story. You are the chosen one, just like you're the chosen undead, like in Dark Souls. You're the chosen person who gets washed up on shore. There's a tutorial. You shoot through a bunch of plant-looking enemies, and then fake death happens, and you get taken in by a bunch of survivors, and essentially you have to go find out what's causing this root invasion of Earth and other worlds, and you have to go to this one temple. That's your main goal. But then a lot of other stuff will trip you up along the way, but that's like the basic, right? Okay, so that's the story, and it just slowly picks up from there, kind of. The graphics they're pretty okay. They're nothing crazy to look at, but what I do have to say is I have to commend them. The game runs really smooth if you're playing single player. The frame rate has been constant with me. If you do play online, there may be hiccups here or there if you jump into other people's worlds, because essentially you're catching up to their exact frame rate and stuff like that. So that's the graphics, pretty okay. The beginning areas are really bland to look at, very dark with a little bit of hints of red here or there, but as soon as you start getting more into the game, you'll see lots of different areas. So like the first 2 hours or so of the game, if you played nothing but the first 2 hours, you can easily make a argument saying, man, this game is boring looking, like Fallout 4, just gray, monotone crap. I can definitely see that. But then if you push through, you end up going to like a subway, you end up going to like an alien planet, a sand planet. You get to go to like a jungle type of area. It's actually pretty cool. The enemy variety, the graphics, every enemy looks good. I have to say that. They all have a really awesome design, so I love that. The audio is also pretty, nothing to write home about, simple pew-pew gun stuff. But I do have to also give them props for the surround sound. You can hear enemies from all over the place, footsteps. It's an over-the-shoulder shooter, so you're primarily looking in front of you, but you can hear like an enemy snarling and then about to jump at you, so you can dodge to the left and see the enemy jump in front of you. That's happened to me so many times. So at least the sound design is good. Otherwise, this game would be really hard to deal with. So I recommend if you do play this, definitely wear headphones or be super loud on TV or something, because you need that surround sound type of deal. Okay, so story, graphics, audio out of the way. This is the big thing. The gameplay, whether or not you are going to like this, is just whether or not you like to get punished. If you like one of those games, let's compare it to Dark Souls again. Dark Souls, you die a lot, you learn, you move on, you die a lot, you learn and you move on. This is kind of like that, but you're learning in kind of a different way. I don't even know how to explain it, but let's just start. Okay, like I said, over the shoulder, third person, and there's slight melee combat. There's a lot of gunplay. You have a primary weapon that can be a hunting rifle, a shotgun, machine gun, laser gun, crossbow, secondary weapons, pistols, flamethrowers, and you also get melees, which could go like javelins, big hammers, etc. You can upgrade them through a shop. You have like your own home base, like Medulla. Is that the name of the freaking place in Dark Souls 2? Majora? Oh my god, I totally forgot the name of the home base, but it's like a nexus. You know, you can always teleport back there where you can buy new equipment, consumables, you can craft boss weapons and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of, well, I have to say this. If you are not looking around the game and looking for secrets and bothering to look at boss item and upgrades, you're not going to get any new weapons. You have to actually search around because they are kind of hidden in areas after you defeat bosses, or maybe they show up randomly in the environment. But there are an okay amount of rings and trinkets that you can get, which changes up your character's stats and all of that stuff. So the goal is you end up going to the end of each zone, and in between there are dungeons, random events, and then a random boss. Now what the heck do I mean by that? I'm going to take the first zone for example, which is a broken down city setting. Now every time you re-roll a world, every time you start a new game, everyone's world is going to be different in one way or another. Now there are key points. There is a beginning. There is maybe 2 to 3 different mid points, and then a boss. So everyone's beginning's the same, but as you slowly go through each person's midpoint, like let's say midpoint number 1 is going to be a dungeon. The developers maybe made 10 different dungeons, and in your specific world you rolled one of the dungeons, so you get that dungeon first, and then the next dungeon will be one of the other 10s. So you might never end up getting an item that you would not have unless you jumped in someone else's world, a friend's world, or a random public world. So everyone's going to end up with vastly different amounts of equipment, which is honestly a really good idea. I like it a lot. There were some bosses too that I never even played, you know, but I jumped in another guy's world and I end up fighting another boss and I got a new item. So the game, you know, heavily encourages you to either replay the game, but that's not really a good idea if you want to collect all the items, because that means you have to get lucky and hopefully that boss is in your world that time. The best way to collect more items is to jump in other people's worlds randomly, help them out, because you do obtain all of the experience. You even get more experience, more damage and stuff if you play with other people. So highly recommended. If you're playing your own game on single player, which I recommend, honestly this game is fun, single player and multiplayer. Now if you play single player on normal or hard mode or nightmare, it's going to be a nightmare regardless. You know, it's one person taking all the aggro of all the enemies, but it's more of a controlled state. You don't have to worry about people, you know, messing up your gameplay, and it's nice, straight gameplay. This is the most Dark Souls-ish it gets, but it could be hard. And if you do get stuck, don't feel bad about jumping into a public game that where someone else is in another random portion in the story, just so you can get some experience in different weapons and equipment, because you do get a lot of it. But multiplayer is more super crazy run and gun stuff, so that's actually really freaking awesome. You also get bonfires along the way. They're called crystals, but you sit at them exactly like you would Dark Souls. You sit there, enemies between point A and point B respawn. That's where you die. All your ammo gets recovered, etc. Like I said, you rarely obtain new weapons, armors, and other skills. You have to search for different puzzles and stuff. But remember, maybe you don't get every single item, which is honestly cool. I do like that. That's probably one of the best things about the game. Even though if you like stand back from far away, you can see how they actually set it up. It's just they made 20 different types of things and then they just jumbled it up in one world. Instead of having everything in one person's world, they're like, no, let's just put like little bits in one world and have it like a linear campaign. So it's not really an open world. It's a zone with maybe 3 forks. 2 forks lead to extra content, which you should do, and then 1 leads to a random boss, and then you move on to the next area and it's the same thing. So the formula is pretty easy to get to once you see, and you might think that's bad, like, oh, I know where the game's going. One thing. But it's actually really appealing to me because I know what's happening, and the gameplay and the appeal to me is all about getting stronger through learning enemy AI, getting stronger through equipment, getting stronger through obtaining new equipment and upgrading, for the second one, my bad, and getting traits, which is one of the most interesting aspects of upgrading your character. Now, in Dark Souls, you do get levels by spending souls, and each level ultimately increases the minimum amount of souls before you level up, like 200 souls for level 1, 400 souls, level 2, 800 for level 3. This game, as soon as you hit like a certain level, you just end up, it needs to be 1500 XP, and then you just keep getting it. So it's very consistent. And you start off with 3 different classes, and the classes is just starting equipment, just like Dark Souls. But then the trait that you get is pretty important. Now, this is probably the second best thing I liked about the game, besides the random aspect. It's the traits and getting stronger from the traits and building up a character. In this game, you choose which things to level up. You start the game with, let's say, 3 traits, and then you get more traits throughout the game doing puzzles and defeating bosses and finding secrets. So let's say the 3 starting traits are maximum health boost, maximum stamina boost, and let's say Hunter's Mark. It's a skill where you pretty much, well, XP, let's just say XP increase. Let's just say that as a random one. So each level, each trait goes up to level 20, and every time you hit your threshold point for a level, they're not really called levels, they're called trait, your trait level, I think. And then you put 1 into there, and then it's a static upgrade. So level 1 HP buff is +5. Next one is 2.5 more, 2.5 more, 2.5 more, all the way to level 20, right? And then it stays there. But then it does take a while to get to that level. But the thing is, though, if you're ever stuck, you can grind, and it is a static grind. It never gets, you know, too tedious to grind the same level. It will take you roughly the same amount of level to get between level 56 to 57 to 112 to 113, the same amount of experience. So it's pretty much how much time you want to put in the game, you know, to get stronger. And there's lots of different traits that you get. So pretty much it will consist of you dying a lot, slowly getting stronger, AI learning new talents, dying a lot, and then you keep going. It's not for everyone. It's definitely not for everyone. I think the worst part of the game by far, and a lot of people agree with me, is the boss fights themselves. Going through the stages, the enemies are fine. Sometimes you can get overwhelmed, but if you pick them off, play your cards right, you can use the environment to run around, dodge, and kill enemies. The boss battles are really, I don't want to say lazy. They're not lazy. It's just not fun, and it's unfair. Every single boss that I have fought is a pretty cool looking boss. They have awesome attacks. They're easy to dodge if you want to get used to them. And it's a cool fight. The thing that makes it so stupid, in my opinion, is how often they spawn minions. And it's not just like one-hit kill minions half the time. It's like big enemies that you fought throughout your way to get there. And if you're playing solo, even on multiplayer, it's so annoying to deal with all of these extra minions because they just get in your way, they kill you, and you're not even fighting a boss at this point. You are fighting one hard enemy and a bunch of medium hard enemies, and then it's just not cool. It's so stupid. I feel like they should have just made the boss have a couple more moves, actually make the boss a menace itself. Because honestly, every boss fight I've done, it's always, wow, here's 3 moves that I can do. By the way, here's a bunch of extra enemies you fought to get here. Now they're all coming to get you again. It doesn't feel good. But, however, it is a hurdle to climb. And more than not, when actually beating a boss, I felt satisfied beating a boss. Because it was just so hard to get through. I was like, this is stupid. I can't believe I actually did this. But then as I thought about it later, you know, it's just really dumb. You didn't win through skill. You won because you got lucky that the boss didn't spawn a bunch of enemies at once. And then they spawned maybe 1 or 2 that you can deal with. And then you just fought the boss. Rather than, wow, there's like 12 enemies here. This is really stupid. So it's not for everyone. Honestly, if you are on the fence about this game, I would say go look up a boss fight or 2 and see if you can handle that. You can play with your friends, but it scales the enemies up, and it just gives them to be like a super crazy sponge of an enemy. But yeah, I would say Remnant, I enjoyed the time I had with it. I don't regret it, and I'm probably gonna play it a lot more off screen. I think I'm done streaming it and stuff. It's it gets repetitive after you get pretty far in the game, you know, grinding up and stuff. But if you're just playing on your own, just for yourself and with friends, it's a good game. You know, you pick it up for a little bit, you grind a little bit, maybe you get a little bit further in your own campaign, you level up a little bit, and then you keep going and going and going. You're slowly getting better, which is what I like about it. It's just not too exciting, you know, as a stream game, so I'm not gonna stream it anymore, but it's good. So I would say, if you like, I don't want to say tedious, let's say monotonous to quirky gameplay over the shoulder, play it. It's good. If you're looking for a crazy, wonderful world building experience, nah. It's literally biome to biome to biome with cool things in between. But other than that, it's whatevs. So that's it. I'm not gonna give it a number or anything, but it's like pretty okay. It's an okay game. So I hope you guys enjoyed the review of Remnant from the Ashes. If you guys want to watch the full playthrough that I uploaded, there's my secondary channel where all the footage is coming from. Go check it out. I always put the first episode on my main YouTube to pique your interest, and if you like it, it's on the secondary channel. I upload it all at once, so you don't have to wait for the freaking you don't have to wait for a month for episode 25. I'm putting it all up all at once because that's what the second channel is for archiving all that stuff. Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.